It's nighttime in the rural Midwest. The Cowboys of Kool Valley are back in town, and they're ready to boogie. Saddle up, whistle britches.
Out of the bowels of the earth and the belly of the beast, through the fire and smoke and brimstone of hell itself, the music industry, comes a new company with women and men who wish to change that which has been happening since time began.
Leave your worries for a while. They'll still be there when you get back.
I'm just a free bird, totally free, and happy still to be with my crew and leeward over the sea that's covered in concrete.
Hello, Douglas. One of these days, I'm not going to be here for you to talk so ugly to. So you better change your way of life. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find me a big old strong cowboy with big old strong arms that can hold me real tight, because that's what turns me on. Not these long-haired hippie rock and rollers, no guts about them at all, and they scream at their old ladies and they're so sweet to their chicks. Well, that's bullshit with 2 T's.
Welcome to the program, ladies and gentlemen. Sure are glad to have you here. Let's see, what do we got up first? How about a little blues from the great city of Indianapolis, Indiana? Here's blues pianist Leroy Carr with his guitarist Scrapper Blackwell singing a wonderful number called Longin' for My Sugar.
Lord, I'm so blessed. I'm longing for my sugar, and I don't want no one else. I'm longing for my sugar, and I don't want no one else. And I don't miss her so much until I'm all by myself. And I know that when I quit her, I was doing wrong. I know that when I quit her, I was doing wrong. Now I've got trouble on my mind. It's trying to get her back home. I'm going to pay the boss and get my check card today. I'm going to pay the boss and get my check card today. And give it to my sugar if she'll come back home to stay. Fussing and fighting ain't no way to get around. Fussing and fighting ain't no way to get around. It's done caused me a world of trouble and broke up my happy home. I can't work in the daytime, I can't sleep a wink in the night. I can't work in the daytime, I can't sleep a wink in the night. Thinking the woman that I love ain't been treated right. I mean that.
says deal's about over, and I guess that's true. Town used to have 12 stores, now we got 2. Big boys moving in, small farmers moving on. The way may be going, but the life ain't gone. On a summer evening, when the corn's head high, and there's more lightning bugs than stars in the sky, you get the feeling things may be alright. On a summer evening, before the dark of night. Down by the river, where my good fields are. Well, it's a dusty old road, but there ain't many cars. Think about my wife, my daughter and my son. If the good Lord is still looking, the Lord's will be done. But on a summer evening, when the corn's head high, and there's more lightning bugs than stars in the sky, you get the feeling things may be alright. On a summer evening, before the dark of night. On a summer evening, when the corn's head high, and there's more lightning bugs and there's stars in the sky, you get the feeling things may be alright. On a summer evening, before the dark of night. On a summer evening, before the dark of night.
Futurama. General Motors Futurama at the New York World's Fair, where you meet the future face to face. It's an experience you'll never forget, because the fantastic Futurama ride takes you into the future and makes you feel like you're there, in outer space, beneath the sea, in unbelievable places, watching believable things happen. Many of the futuristic things you'll see are already more than just a part of the General Motors Futurama exhibit. They're demonstration models, in a sense, of scientific ideas being developed now. Stroll down our avenue of progress and see this kind of product on display. And also the exciting array of new products in our product plaza. At the fair, see General Motors Futurama first. Take the trip that's worth the trip to the fair. It's free.
Is anyone out there? Can you hear me? Sometimes I wonder. That song was called Summer Evening by Greg Brown off of his 2000 album Over and Under, followed by a promotional clip made by Raymond Scott for the General Motors Company. I think I'm going to play one more tune before we get into a little history lesson for this episode of Cowboys of Kool Valley. Here is The Avalanches featuring David Berman, A Cowboy Overflow of the Heart. It's an outtake from their fantastic album Wildflower, which came out in 2016. Listen to that fucking thing. Anyhow, here they are with the genius, poet, songwriter, David Berman.
We inaugurate the evening, just drumming up a little weirdness. It gets late so early now. The waves come in mountain phases, linked impossibilities, branching possibilities. I'd see fire where it's not supposed to be. In the empty library at supper time, by the respirating basement door. The dog eats out of an old tambourine on the floor. I've been told you can live a long, long time on the love of a dog, and that things get bitter and bad when the people are wrong, when sleep can be had for the price of a song. Late in the day, when the options are gone. When the seatbelt's the only hug you felt in weeks. When wrong numbers are the totality of your social life. The obscure strategies of wildlife only flummox the hell out of you, kid. I first saw her in a megastore. The day-glow raven, born into a free fall, like plastic Easter basket grass, falling from an overpass. The fulfillment of a 10th grade prophecy, a motel masterpiece. Blind to the branching possibilities, blind to linked impossibilities. Teardrops were standing in my eyes, like deer before they bolt. It was like I was stretching my arm through the cat door to heaven. I was thinking I could lick the frosting off these summer days if the nights were half as sweet. Me like a banged up dog walking half sideways. I adored the way she modified my mornings. When I'd wake up in the calm shoals of her bed. Somersaults and smoke in a universe of sleep. Before she slipped into her heritage and disappeared. Now every second thought is of control. I guess in a way I long to be rad. When I was with her, it felt wrong to be sad. Did I tell you an angel finally came and shut my mouth? There was a smile and a tear in her voice too. And she taught me to relight and relight again. They tell me you can live a long, long time on the love of a dog. Things get bitter and bad, and sleep can be had late in the day when the options seem gone. Please let your eyes be a friend to me again. It's just malfunctioning teardrops. A cowboy overflow of the heart.
Great artists St. Louis forgot about. Artists who worked in and around St. Louis during their prime or their formative years.
Now, this first artist, he really hasn't been forgotten about so much as his whole genre has just kind of been slipping through the cracks. Ragtime music. With the advent of the internet, it got a little bigger for a while, and now it's starting to die down a little bit, and I hope it picks back up again. But anyway, from 1901 to 1907, Scott Joplin lived and worked in St. Louis, and he's the most famous ragtime composer. He composed many of his greatest works while living in St. Louis. His apartment is still there. It's been preserved. You can go see it. Some of those important works that he created in St. Louis were The Entertainer, Maple Leaf Rag, and the Bethano Waltz. That version of Bethana was recorded by Richard Zimmerman in 1974, 71 years after it was written. Joplin moved to New York City and finished out his short years there, dying from complications from syphilis at the age of 48. While we're on the subject of ragtime, I'd like to play a more recent composition. This is St. Louis ragtime composer and player Richard Egan playing Tower Grove Rag off his 2017 album Always Been a Rambler. Take it away, Rich. Pioneering jazz and blues guitarist Lonnie Johnson moved to St. Louis at the age of 22. Working the next 4 years as a musician in several groups, he ended up receiving a contract with OK Records for winning a blues guitar contest in 1925. He was one of the most popular artists on OK, releasing 130 or so records for the label over the next handful of years. Eventually, they hired him on as a scout, sent him traveling across the country looking for other artists to sign up. But he was an incredible guitar player in his own right. Let's hear a little bit right now. Now that's something else, ain't it? Lonnie Johnson. He eventually landed in Canada, where he's more appreciated and less judged for the color of his skin. His unique style of playing was complemented by his unusual choice of playing a 12-string acoustic. He played on a few recordings by Louis Armstrong's Hot 5 and Hot 7s, in addition to a series of collaborations with the first popular jazz guitar instrumentalist of his day, the great Eddie Lang. The woozy, bluesy, jazzy duets those two recorded together are now an important body of work in their own right. Here's Blue Room by Lonnie Johnson and Eddie Lang. William Burroughs is easily one of the most important writers of a generation. He was born in St. Louis, February 5, 1914. His well-documented life included writing a number of important novels and essays, collaborating with the likes of Sonic Youth and Tom Waits in his later years, and playing an old junkie, not a big stretch, in Gus Van Zant's Drugstore Cowboy. His grandfather's company was a highly successful manufacturing business, creating adding machines, typewriters, and the like. The Burroughs Corporation stayed headquartered in the city of St. Louis until they were bought out in 1986. Burroughs' book of essays, The Adding Machine, contains an important essay for any aspiring writer. It's called Les Volus. Highly recommended. Burroughs was a great reader of his work. Here he is reading his poem, Crossroads.
Well, now, old George was a good, straight boy to begin with, but there was bad blood in him some way. He got into magic bullets, and that leads straight to devil's work like Mary Joanna leads to heroin. Think you can take them bullets or leave 'em, do you? Just save a few for your bad days. We all have those days when we can't hit for shit. That's where old George found himself, out there at the crossroads of molding the devil's bullets. Now a man figures it's his bullet, so it will hit what he wants to hit. But it don't always work out that way. You see, some bullets is special for a single target, a certain stag or a certain person. No matter where you aim, that's where the bullet will end up. In the moment of aiming, the gun turns into a dowser's wand and points where the bullet wants to go. I guess old George didn't rightly know what he was getting into, but the pit was on him, and it carried him right to the crossroads.
Miles Davis was born and raised on the Illinois side of the Mississippi River in East St. Louis. I don't need to tell you who he is either. 2 words: Bitches Brew. Yes, he was one of the true great jazz trumpeters of all time, and a pretty dedicated crackhead at times too, it seems. He left St. Louis to study at Juilliard in New York by 1944 and never looked back. As a music fan and frequent visitor to St. Louis, I never knew Miles Davis was from St. Louis until I saw it on a fight segment about a UFC fighter from St. Louis. This is one area where the city still perseveres these days. There are a handful of St. Louis fighters drawing worldwide attention in the UFC in recent years. See Michael Johnson, Joaquin Buckley, Sean Woodson. The list actually goes on for a while. One of the greatest heavyweight boxers of all time, Mr. Sonny Liston, moved to St. Louis in the late 1940s, later going pro while still living in the city. Though famous for his troubled background and largely unpopular in his day, Sonny became the undisputed world heavyweight champion before losing the title to Muhammad Ali in 1964. Side note, he also made a cameo appearance in the Monkees' 1968 cult film Head. In 1944, future chart-topping country singer Jim Reeves played baseball for the St. Louis Cardinals farm team. What is a farm team, you ask? Well, minor league baseball teams, also known as farm teams, are teams made up of players under the control of a major league team. Every major league team has a branching system of minor league teams that feed players up to the majors. Jim Reeves got out of baseball due to an injury, but within 10 years, Reeves already had 2 number-1 country hits. 10 years after that, in 1964, Reeves died in an airplane crash outside of Nashville. The search party lasted 2 days and included close friends Ernest Tubb and Marty Robbins. Tina Turner moved to St. Louis at the age of 16 in the late 1950s, working as a nurse's aide at Barnes Jewish Hospital. She met Ike Turner, and by 1960 they cut their first album at Technosonic Studios right there in the city of St. Louis. The first single, A Fool in Love, was an instant top 40 hit. By the end of the year, the couple split for Los Angeles, but their first LP was recorded right there in St. Louis, Missouri. Nadine was a 90s St. Louis band who released albums from 1997 to 2003. They specialized in their own version of alt country and recorded for the German label Glitterhouse Records. Here's a tune off their 1999 album, Downtown Saturday, called Closer.
Sure would like to get away from the city and feel the winding roads go under me. Rolling hills as far as the eye can see, to get a little closer to each other. We could stand to get a little closer to the world. Have you seen the moon on the water? A brilliant path of strokes upon the waves. A little north of Minnesota lie peaceful summer days. We could stand to get a little closer to each other. We could stand to get a little closer to the world.
And last but not least, in 1952, and at the age of 28, an unknown blues and jazz pianist, Johnny Johnson, moved to St. Louis and formed the Sir John Trio. On New Year's Eve of that year, Chuck Berry was hired in as the last-minute replacement on guitar, as Johnny's guitarist had had a stroke. Chuck Berry's charisma and guitar playing would soon take him to stardom as a quote-unquote solo artist. Johnny had more of a hand in writing Chuck Berry hits than either would admit to, but Keith Richards figured it out. Here he is explaining the discovery in the 1987 documentary, Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll.
Those two are the strange. He walked in on Johnny's band in a little club in East St. Louis one day and took it over, you know. And Johnny being the guy he is, yes, you're right, but I don't think Johnny realizes really that Chuck. You know, I say to Johnny, play a boogie. You know, I mean, he'll go flow naturally into and he's not doing a Chuck Berry song. I know the way he's playing. It's his riff. Chuck adapted it guitar. I know that too because of the key it's in. It's in piano. It's in Johnny's keys. In piano keys. If it was a guitar, I mean, this is, you know, a guitar, rock and roll. You know, you play an A, an E, and D because you've got open strings. And this is maybe a little technical, but for if it's a guitar band, you play in those keys because it's their guitar keys. On top of everything else, we've been playing in piano keys, you know, horn keys, jazz keys. Johnny Johnson's key. Yeah. And I mean, the minute he does school days, he ain't copying Chuck's riffs on piano. Chuck adapted them to guitar and put those great lyrics behind them. But without somebody to give him them riffs, voila, no song. Just a lot of words on paper.
None of this is to take away from Chuck Berry, but more to say that if Chuck Berry is the soul of the music, then Johnny Johnson is the heart of that music. Although he recorded a few solo albums, Johnny Johnson was content to live in the shadow of Chuck Berry. He's also rumored to be the Johnny Chuck was singing about in Johnny Be Good. Unlike many of the aforementioned artists, Johnny Johnson remained a legend in his adopted hometown of St. Louis and remained there until his death in 2005 at the age of 80. Whew, that history on St. Louis pretty well wore me out. I really think that the greatest overlooked artist is probably Lonnie Johnson. He's one of the best guitarists I've ever heard. I've listened to a lot of them. Anyway, I don't know where you are, but where I am, it's a hot, sunny day. Another place I think of when I think of hot and sunny weather is Brazil. Let's go there now with Jeff and Maria Moldauer.
She run off and took our only chicken. When I broke jail, the house was burnt and bare. The Japs moved the plant back to Osaki. Some days life just don't seem that fair. I don't even care, I'm telling you, I just don't give a damn. I gave all my best years to that woman. All she gave me was mouths to feed. A miracle straight from the loins of Jesus. Since Charlie blew off both my test tubes. 1969, Cameron Bay. It was a massacre. My oldest son was born in Alabama. My youngest is covered in hair. The middle one says he's a homosexual. The other 7's gone, I don't know where, and I don't care. I just don't care. Get your Yankee ass off my property. Don't care if the bank gave you a deed. This farm's been Kyler land for generations. Since we beat back them sneaky Japanese. In the war of 1812, bring our boys home. Somehow I got spinal meningitis, injecting all that hairspray in my spine. It's a super cheap way to party if you aim to kill some brain cells in some time. Good luck getting that child support check from me now. I won't be up till Tuesday. My dreams are all dead and buried. Sometimes I wish the sun would just explode. When God comes and calls me to his kingdom, I'll take all you sons of bitches when I go. Let her blow.
I love you mostly 'cause you're so kind and true. Seems there's nothing you wouldn't do to prove your love for me. I love you mostly for your sweet tenderness and the softness of your caress. Brings nothing but happiness. Long as we're together, my life will be complete. I'll love you forever. Well, I'll lay my heart at your feet. I love you mostly for your sweet tenderness and the softness of your caress. Brings nothing but happiness. Together, my life will be complete. I'll love you forever. Well, I'll lay my heart at your feet. I love you mostly for your sweet nothing but happiness.
Okay, we heard a montage of all of the themes to Squidbillies done by my hero, Billy Joe Shaver. Any great cowboy ought to have a great sense of humor. Clearly, Billy Joe had one. After that, we heard I Love You Mostly by Mr. Lefty Frizzell, recording for Columbia Records. And that doesn't just about wrap her up. That does wrap her up, folks. Thank you for visiting Kool Valley once again. The Cowboys will be back next time. And if you weren't that crazy about this episode, try the next one. It's bound to be different. Take care of yourselves, friends and neighbors. Until next time.
Cowboys of Kool Valley is a production for Pretend Tiger Quality Recordings and Ephemeral Goods.
I'm just a free bird, totally free, and happy still to be with my crew and leeward over the sea that's covered in concrete. Go to sea and see the wind and wave will be your haven till you find your tree. Oh, to be the one that you will bring back in your beak so tenderly. I'm just a free bird, tree bird, a free bird or tree bird. Used to be a tree bird, a branch was my home, desireless to roam any way the wind blew, blood to my bone. So I say yes to go to see, the bell told me I ring it when I'm weary and the crystal sings. Oh, to be the nesting me, I'll put the babes to sleep eventually. I'm just a free bird, totally free, and happy still to me. I'll become a tree bird, someday you'll see me singing from my tree, me singing from my tree, me singing from